Hi, welcome back to Smoking Cheltenham. How you doing? Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you won a bit. Right then, today, bring a flask, why not? We'll have a bit of a ramble. We'll look back at the week, the racing through the week. We've got a 14 to 1 bet, which is kind of like a top up. Two 10 to 1 selections, one for Cheltenham, one for Dublin, and a bit of a fun bet at the end. I don't know if to include that really, but yeah, just a bit of fun, that one. We'll have a bit of a ramble about the DRF as well. Why not? Okay. And I'll kick off just following on from last week's video. That was the hour. Just had to mention this a bit. I got chatting away there to Mark McKay off his Cheltenham chat video, just on the comments and stuff it became apparent that he's had him on his radar for a while now. I say I was a bit behind, I guess. I just noticed him that last one really. But kind of as a result of that, I was like, trying to think of his target, and I thought maybe go the 3-6 race with Keith up rather than get an amateur. So the next morning, I kind of got up and thought, I'd slept on it, and I thought, he's maybe this 3-6 one for him. So loaded up the prices there. It was 4 to 1. Which you'll know now, but he was 4 to 1. I was gobsmacked. I mean, like when we did the video last week, it was tens, and I was moaning a bit at that, weren't I? That he were towards the front of the market there. 4 to 1. I mean, Jesus. Is this stable money or something? I don't know when that happened. I guess probably a little bit of stable money or something, a bit like the Nicky horse in the Triumph to move a horse that fast, I suppose. Don't know. Have they shown the hand a little early though? Because you do wonder, when the handicapper comes to looking at his mark, he'll be aware of the markets as well, and maybe, as a result, it might give him a few extra pounds there. I don't know. It's brutal, isn't it? It is. Just on that horse, he all right with a 10. It were 10, weren't it? He got up to 135. I thought that were kind of all right, really. I sort of expected that. And I was thinking he'll give him 5 or 6, 140, 141, which on that Haydock run last year's still fine, I'd say. Although I think Haydock form can, in heavy ground, it can flatter a bit, can't it? You can get them sort of wide margin winners. It doesn't always translate to other courses. We're still learning about Windsor. I think Windsor's looking a little like that as well, isn't it? We Protectorate and Matata. Yeah, it could lend itself, in soft ground to sort of flatter some horses a little, maybe. And the English handicapper does take more notice of hurdles, hurdles form than the Irish handicapper does. So, I'd say about 141 on a line, on his last run would be about right, with the winner there who were 147. But if he digs into that A-dot race and he sees that he's 4 to 1 favourite, he might have a swipe at it and knock it out. I don't know. But, whatever, I don't think we can be betting him now at force. I mean, last year, I know the way you're thinking, we tracked him all the way through, didn't we? But after the weights came out, he was still available at 8 to 1. I took some of the 8 to 1 there went to do the video. By the time I'd got to the video, you know, he'd been backed into the fours, which was unfortunate, you know. It happens though, doesn't it, with this game, like. But that was fours, you know, a week before Cheltenham or something, like, you know. Looked a bit short. It obviously finished 13-8, you know. Unreal. Yeah, it's a different game now, isn't it? It is. I mean, 4-1 for a handicap this far out for Cheltenham. That's just, I don't think I've seen that before. Honestly, I don't think I have. And there are others in that race as well. We've mentioned a little bit, and we'll mention them again today, you know, that are interesting. So we'll see nearer the time, like, you know. But yeah, it can be a little bit disheartening sometimes. It can. I think, you know, the bookies aren't bookies anymore, are they? They're not. I think social media can lead to a bit of a snowball effect. It's like a Pied Piper thing, isn't it? You know, and I think, you know, these sort of bookmaker sponsored shows out there, and I'm convinced that, you know, there's a lot of clued up people out there, and we've all probably got the same sort of horses on our radar for these races. You know, we might have a mental shortlist of sort of 6-7 horses for some races, and I'm sure these shows are putting them up, the bookmaker ones, thinking, you know, we've seen a little bit of money for this, we don't really want to take it, put him up, and we can, like, butcher the price on it, like, you know, before you'd reasonably sort of think. I mean, we're a fair way out to be betting in handicaps, aren't we, at Cheltenham? We've got no clue of the ground, the final fields, or anything like that, you know. But anyway, rant over. Yeah, it's what it is, isn't it? You have to just get on with it and do your best. Right then. Yeah, we'll go back through the racing over the last week or so. I've left plenty of races out. I'm just sort of going through the ones that were most interesting to me, really. Thursday, Thyestes Day. Big day in Ireland, this, isn't it? You know, I love the tradition of it. I love it still on a Thursday. I like things like that. It's change all the time, you know. I like, it's nice to just have a few rocks to cling on to, like, you know, and I love that. Yeah, so yeah, we were going then soft to heavy. I've not gone into so much detail today on a lot of these races. I'm just going to ramble a bit more, I guess. Galmoy Rocky's Diamond took that out, didn't he? He's an improving 5-year-old. He's got a good attitude. Looked to have his limitations exposed behind home by the Lee at Christmas. But he is improving, isn't he? And he could get into the shake-up at Cheltenham in like a weak division, you know. It's not so many progressive horses coming through as there, you know. The Thyestes, yeah, great history of this race, you know. You look back at some of the previous winners, there's some class horses in this. Nick Rocket beat Velvet Elvis 2 1/4 lengths here. Fantastic ride from Paulis, you know. He gave the outside up to no one. He'll probably go to the National now. And, you know, before this race and after it, my thoughts sort of often, occasionally anyway, drift back to that beginner's chase we highlighted at the beginning of last season, if you remember. Yeah, just before getting started, the runner-up first, well, he's fairly new to Cromwell, isn't he? and he ran a blinder really. Velvet Elvis just beat 2 1/4 lengths, so he kind of got the worst of the ground there in the home straight, you know, and yeah, he may find a race somewhere. But yeah, that beginners, you know, Corbett's Cross took it out that day. He went on to like hose up, didn't he, in the 4 mile. He's now rated 163. He goes Gold Cup for Emmett. He's training him for one day. Don't write him off, you know. The way he trains, he'll be ready on the day. If you remember how impressive he were at Cheltenham last year, he'll have him in that sort of form for the Gold Cup, you know. I wouldn't worry too much about his runs in between, you know. 3 Card Bragg, he took that beginners out, didn't he? That now is the hour running. He's rated 147. He goes straight to the national. That could be a fair mark looking at these others. He's interesting there for the national. He is. I think he's going to either love it or hate it, you know. And if he loves it, he's going to run a massive race, I think. I just worry a little bit on him on that long running, you know, coming up to the elbow. I can see like an Iroko or something maybe chopping him down close home, but he's 33s in some places, you know. I put no one off him each way at 33s. That looks very fair. Monty Starr came third that day, didn't he? He's now rated 153. You know, he finished runner-up last year in the Browns and Grade 1 at Punchestown. Henry's training him for the Gold Cup, you know. He's going to run a big, big race in that Gold Cup. He is. And then fourth were Nick Rocket, and he took this Thyestes out off 152, didn't he? Yeah, some beginners that he looked at the time, didn't it? And it did turn out well, that form. It were a brilliant ride though, from Paul, it were. 2.5 mile beginners, K de Bourbon, he came good for us here, beat Chapeau de Soleil half a length, Blizzard of Oz another 7 lengths back in third. They went slow earlier, they really sort of quickened it up with 3 to go. K de Bourbon took up the running there, Paul hugging that favourite outside again as he'd done earlier in the big race. He ran down the last to his right. He was strongly challenged all the way to the line by Chapeau de Soleil, but held him off well to win like a handy half a length. He jumped much better here. He were braver, weren't he? And that's what we had to see from him. So that was the big thing here, like the main thing for me. He were still slow at a couple, but generally he were fine. So I'd say he looked like he'd learnt plenty from his chase debut, and I think he'll have learnt plenty from this again. You know, he's only 6 and he's going to continue to improve. I think he's screaming out for 3 mile. He'll improve plenty for that. He goes to Browns now, and you couldn't be putting a line through him. You know, doubtful. I'd say he'd be the stable number 1 for that race, so we'll have a bit of roulette with the jockeys there, won't we? He's going to have plenty in that, will he? But yeah, he's going to go there and he's going to be live on the day, you know. He improved past Chapeau de Soleil, and I'd say that horse would have come forward himself plenty, you know, from the his chasing debut. The third horse, Blizzard of Oz, he ran Lecky Watson to just under 2 lengths last time. You know, he got beat 7.5 here. The form looks sound. Just on that horse Blizzard of Oz, I thought he ran like he'd appreciate a step up in trip last time. Watching him here, you'd think he needs to drop down in trip. I'm not really fond of them horses that look a bit tripless, like, you know. So he's kind of off my watch list. Yeah, some interesting ones for handicaps in behind here. Cletus Poulor, he was just kept on the unfavoured inside all the way round, you know. Yeah, he's after his handicap mark. Shigorin, yeah, not much better. He's going to be after an handicap mark. Union Station were quite eye-catching here, I thought, for Gavin. You know, he'll also, this was his chase debut. He's going to be interesting for handicaps down the line. He'll have to have a few more runs yet, a couple more. Just an horse to keep an eye on, I'd say. Saturday, Cheltenham, soft, good to soft in places. A 2 mile 4.5 novice handicap chase. Jaguar beat Billy the Real Big Red 2.5 here. He was settled in the rear early, kind of given time to find his feet. A little bit novice early on. 5 out, he tagged onto the leading group, travelling well. He cruised into third down the hill, switched to the inside, approaching 2 out. Took that half a length down. Between the last two, he kind of went half up, and he stayed on well enough up the hill to run out 2.5 length winner here. I've always kind of had half an eye on this guy, but he's always been operating like at a level below that I really sort of focus on. So he's sort of stepped up here, and this race has been like a cracking sort of pointer towards Cheltenham. There's been plenty of horses taking out Cheltenham races on the back of this race. It still looks a little raw to me. There's plenty of improvement in him. He took this off 132, maybe go up 5 or so. So he's going to be off a lovely sort of looking mark, and he'd be shortlisted for the light novice handicap chase. Pardon me. Well, he's 6-1. Yeah. Well, now JP is building up a little army of interesting horses for this race, I'd say, and this isn't even all of them. No flies on him. He's not entered at Dublin. I thought he would be. He's not. So that suggests to me maybe he is actually coming here. In the pocket's got a rating of 149. That could be workable, you know, if you put a line through his last run there. You know, he's better than that, I think. So he got a bit of sun here, like on all his other form, you'd rated him, like, you know. Waterford Whispers, he's the one in that, you know, we put him in the 10 to follow just for this race. We just need to see him entered up, and we'll have a little bet on him. He's actually 20's top price, I think. I'm just looking at him. He needs one more run. Yeah, that 9 he got beat by Il Atlantique. It looked okay at the time, but Il Atlantique is now rated 153. You know, he's gone up a fair bit since then. So, you know, he's only had 2 runs, Waterford Whispers. He may end up on around 146, and he may get a bit of extra from the English. I don't know. It's quite hard to say. But I still like him, I do. His form stood up this weekend as well. Yeah, he's had 2 runs, Waterford Whispers. In the pocket's had 2, probably make it 3 next week. No flies on him's had the 3. Jaguar, I think he's had 4. I should have checked this. I wrote down all the others. I think he's had 4 though, but I may be wrong. But if he's had 4 and JP's got a few for this, that could push him into the plate, because he'd be the only one qualified to run in it, because you need a 4 for a novice to run in an open handicap, whereas all these other contenders would be set on 3. So if you do like Jaguar for this race and you want to play him, I'd suggest taking the non-runner no bet, just in case he does end up in the plate, because it would be a possibility of that. Okay. Um, 2 mile 1 grade 2 juvenile hurdle, East India Dock beat Stencil the 10. He led at a good pace here all the way. This were a cracking time. It was 10 seconds quicker or so than Constitution Hill recorded, although he carried £5 less. Very impressive. He's got a big chance there in the Triumph. The English have got 2 cracking chances there with this fella and Lalamba. I'd imagine we'll have a 3rd big contender after the race at Dublin next week, and they'd be the 3, take your pick, I wouldn't like to say at this stage. I wouldn't, to be honest. I wouldn't. I'm kind of attracted to Lalamba. The way he finished, he looked like he had so much more in the tank. But he's only 7-4, isn't he? I don't know if he's such a good bet at 7-4 against this fella, and whatever we see next week. So we'll see. But he certainly, anyway, is a big contender there. Stencil took the eye, didn't he? He jumped and he travelled. I like the way he jumped and travelled. Yeah, he looks like one for the Boodles, doesn't he? But that is not gone unnoticed, and he's just 7-1 best price for that race, and we don't know his mark yet either. The international 2 mile 1 grade 1 international hurdle. Did you play the 1 to 12? If you did, you got a fright at the end, didn't you? Yeah, he beat. He had 2 stone in hand here, I think thereabouts. He beat Brentford Hope 3 here. He were big and skewed at the first. He gave the second plenty of air. From there, he were good, mostly. Apart from that one. He went very steady early, so he kind of took it up at the 4th. Picked up the pace running down the hill, and he was always in control here, weren't he? He did get the last door wrong, but he just cruised down. I'm still not sure. It's like, you can't say anything bad about this horse without getting abused, but I'm still not sure he's the horse he were. Maybe he is, but I'm not sure he is. And as the screws get tightened the weeks before Cheltenham, he'd be one of the more likely ones to fall by the wayside. He would. But on a more positive note, his level was so high, weren't it? He can afford to be a little below and still be good enough to take out a champion hurdle. Also, as I mentioned last week, I do like how he's come here. It suggests he's in a good place at the moment, and he's a bit easier to train. If you back this fella ante-post for the champion hurdle and it all goes well, I'd suggest sending Nicky a nice big bottle of brandy, because I think he'll have earned it with this fella, I do. But yeah. So we'll see. Like I say, if we get there on the day and everything's gone fine with him, yeah, maybe but as an ante-post proposition, you know, as I said before, he won't be for me. I keep watching his runs. You know, every time he runs, I did it last time, was watch that Christmas hurdle, you know, before his troubles, and then watch him in the other races. And I'm not sure. We'll see. Right, the Cleve Hurdle, Gowl Road, yeah, he gave a nice boost to Lucky Place, didn't he, here? Who beat him last time. Strong Leader, yeah, as we mentioned before, come down the hill, don't like this track. Aintree, yeah, he'll have a good chance at Aintree. Funny enough, the horse I want to talk about the most is the one that came last, which doesn't happen all that often, but Transmission, yeah. You know, we've not noted him before, haven't we, for that 3 mile 6 handicap race and the Kimyor. You know, he ran well behind Haiti Couleurs, who was also interesting for those races, particularly the 3-6 race, I'd say, with that one. You know, that were ran in a good time that day. Haiti Couleurs only went up the 5 and this fella the 1. You know, I think they're well handicapped still. Were interested with Transmission that Patrick rode him, which suggested to me they'd be looking at the Kimyor. And also Captain Cody ran with Now Is the Hour in that race, and you know, in relation to Now Is the Hour, he looks a good price, you know, and I wonder if the stable, you know, if Willie's getting him ready for the 3-6 race, then maybe Patrick would ride him. No, he'd ride him in the Kimyor. So I don't know if he goes Kimyor or 3-6 this Transmission, but he's an interesting contender for it. Worth noting, Neil Mulholland, I like how he prepped here. He did the same with the Druid's Nephew before he took out the Ultima a few years back. Barry Geraghty on, yeah. So it took me eye that he was here, like, you know. Yeah, so I'd say there, you know, you got Now Is the Hour. I think Transmission's interesting. I think this Haiti Couleurs is interesting. And maybe Captain Cody too, you know. Right. Just a quick mention to Rocco. Is yeah, that mission we've been talking about all season that they've been given from JP and the boys is continuing to go well, back on track anyway at the weekend. The stewards got involved this time, didn't they? Yeah, they're doing well with this horse, and after the weights come out, expect him to show remarkable improvement, stepped up to a more suitable trip, you know. He could be the one for the national if, you know, I know the way you're thinking, all over him. This fella finished behind him, so he'd be maybe the next best thing for us. He's well found in the market, you know, it's no secret. His 16's there, but that could be a nice sort of price. I need to know I know the way you're thinking's not going for it before I get involved in anything else, I think, because I war all over that horse. I know they said, didn't they, he weren't on his radar, but I'll believe it for sure when I see his name's missing from the entries, you know. Just perfect for it. But this fella could be a good replacement for Ziroko, yeah. Potter's Charm, yeah, in the 2 mile 4.5 grade 2 novice hurdle, he finished well beaten second here, didn't he? Behind the impressive winner 6 mile bridge. The winner's progressive, he'll be a contender, won't he, for Cheltenham? You couldn't be having Potter's Charm after this. Bill Joyce will beat further here, then behind the New Lion. Do you know, I'm done with these English novice hurdlers. I'm done with a lot of them. I am. Even the New Lion, no, not having any of them. No, sorry, I'm not. The couple of things I've liked him all season. The New Lion. A couple of things put me off him. I'm not quite sure how he's going to come up the hill. But I think the main thing that puts me off him, apart from the fact I don't think he's beat a horse all season, you know, I don't think they're up to much, any of these novices over here. I don't. So I don't think he's beat a horse all season. And I don't like how they got him bang on, didn't they, for that Cheltenham to sell him. Don't like that either, you know, he were peaked for that day. So maximise the amount of money they got for him, weren't they? So I'm done with a lot of them, I am. Not having any of these English novice hurdlers for Cheltenham now. Unless like Nicky pulls a rabbit out of the hat somewhere. You know, maybe that charisma ran an eye-catching race behind a horse of Paul's. It drifted like a barge in the market, but it took your eye the way it travelled. Maybe that'll come into the mare's novice hurdle, you know. Unless Nicky pulls something out, I'm done with a lot of them. Okay, so sorry about that, but just tell you what I think. I might be wrong. Fairy House, 2 mile to Grade 3 Solarina. Aurora Vega, yeah, that's our Vega's little sis. Oh, you've got to have a soft spot for this horse. Won well, but she's now 2 from 2 at Fairy House, and Willie pointed it towards the Grade 1 at the Easter Festival here, rather than Cheltenham. Made a point that it would be better to win that race than at Cheltenham. They really upset Willie this season, Cheltenham, haven't they? He's not letting it go. Yeah. I like 6.5. You know, Maureen's running today, isn't she? And I'll tell you what I've done, but I can't put it up here because it's not fair. Because by the time you've seen this, they probably ran Maureen. You know, as you may have gathered out, I've been in a bit of quandary what to do with this Maureen, and I really, really like 6.5. So what I've done, I kind of doubled down on 6.5 and had a couple of points on Maureen at the 5s. And I kind of hope that Maureen isn't that good today, to be honest, even though I've covered her now, because I can't be done with English horses. This charisma possibly might come into it for Nicky, but I really like 6.5, and it's better to have like one strong fancy for a race than two, and it just makes it better. So I'd like to just get really stuck into the 6.5. I've doubled down on her now, you know, and had a fair bit on her before. So I'm into this 6.5, but I've covered Maureen. And if Maureen doesn't do it today, if there's no fireworks from Maureen, that'll suit me fine, because I can get more into 6.5. But, you know, it's the only horse I fear, and she could be good, she could be special. You'll probably know now if she is or not. But if she is, I've kind of got covered now, so yeah. I mean, Diva Luna, yeah, she went down, didn't she? You know, and I knew, do you know, that 2.5 race, I think she beat 109 horses or something, and she got £7 off it. And it's not like she smashed it, is it? You know. Nah, I can't be done with any of them. I fell out with all English novice hurdlers now. Right, on to some decent novice hurdlers then in Ireland. A 2 mile maiden hurdle. Cowabunga beat William Money a length and a half. Cocktail to win. Another 22 back in third. Henry de Bromhead. His horses running terrible, aren't they? They really are. You can't, like, you must have noticed, don't be going anywhere near Henry's horses at the moment. He had two kind of that looked to have fair chances, didn't he, on Dicey's day, and they both ran terrible, like, you know. I think he had one winner, didn't he, that Nara, but she could have run a stone below and won that. I think she was really suited by the ground and all that, you know. Anyhow, Cowabunga looked on the edge at times behind the strong pace set by William Money here, but was well on top at the line and looks to improve plenty from his eye-catching debut behind Kopek de Boards. Willie pointed him towards the turners after this, and that would look the right race for him. I think he looks sure to run a huge race there. I know he's only going off a maiden victory, but I wouldn't put anyone off the 14's top price for him. I like him. I think it won a big race in the Turners. I do. William Money, he failed to learn from his debut, didn't he? He was again far too keen, threw in a couple of sketchy jumps as well. He's in the bin now. That point's in the bin. He stuck on really well considering after the last, you know, he's got an engine, he's got ability, but that's, you know, it's just he can't race like this. He could be exciting over fences, you know, if that settles him down a little. A fence can settle these horses down, and he's got some ability there, so he could become like an exciting Arkle contender next year. Cocktailed Vignette ran no race, just put a line through this. Henry's horses aren't running right, are they? But he's still a nice horse, you know. Don't be falling out with him over this. He's a nice horse. Sunday then at Naas, we started off soft on the chase course. They changed it to heavy after race one. The hurdles were soft to heavy. Answer to Cafe made a mockery of his opening market at 1:30. Run out an impressive winner, landed a bit of a touch here. If it goes to Cheltenham, it'll be that 2.5 mile novice, you know. I'd imagine he'll put up a good 10 for this to 140, and the English will give him another 5 or so he'll be like 145 there. I'd say soft ground is quite important to this fella. This were a nice boost, weren't it, for that Martin Pipe form? We knew, didn't we? It were decent form. It were, you know, so a bit of a boost there for sort of better days ahead. K de Bourbon and Waterford Whispers, you know. I mean, it probably weren't the strongest handicaps, like, you know, but still, I mean, 130, you just, yeah. Yeah, 2 mile grade 3 limestone ladder hurdle. Amsterdam looked good, didn't he? He beat Beaconedge 11 here. He does look a bit wild and keen, doesn't he? But he were wickedly impressive, you know. No one's got a clue how good this horse is, you know. No one knows. You know, and if he went champion hurdle, you wouldn't be putting a line through him. You couldn't, you know. You just wouldn't know. But quite surprisingly, I thought after the race, Willie did throw that into some doubt, you know. Mentioned the 2.5 at Aintree. And he's only 5. I think Willie were just thinking Arkle next year for this horse. He commented how he jumped 3 out. He's got like bags of scope. I think, yeah, this could be a big Arkle horse next year for the Donnellys again, like, you know. But yeah, if he rocks up in a champion hurdle, you know, he's to be feared, I'd say. if you wanted to back him now, you'd have to take the non-runner no bet. I don't know what price it is for that. The 3 mile 1 grade 3 Nace novice chase, Dancing City beat Bioluminescence 3.5. Good Land were another 2.5 length back in third. They went a sensible pace in the conditions here. Yeah, so he got that sun, so can't see it too good here. But Dancing City led, tracked by Bioluminescence, and it stayed that way pretty much all the way round, to be honest. Bioluminescence tried to throw down a challenge over the last two, but Dancing City was always holding it and won well. Dancing City, yeah, he's, we won about him, weren't we? Big sort of gross horse, improved plenty from his chase debut, and he should continue to improve through the season. He jumps and he stays, doesn't he? He's a big contender in that Browns. The only little question mark you could have over him is that run over the track last year. It just niggles me a little, that. But that's the only sort of spot you could knock off him, I'd say. Bioluminescence ran a great race under a penalty. She's like a female version of Dancing City, I'd say she did well to win first time up as well. She should improve her way, and she just like jumps and stays, Looking at this mare's chase, I said a while back, didn't I? I thought the bet were her at 6s, non-runner no bet. That's 5s now, non-runner no bet. The 10s, ante-post, sort of 6s. In relation to the 6s, the 5s, non-runner no bet, I'd say is decent. Yeah, I would. Because if she turns up here, say JP's got like 4 out of the first 7 or 8 in the betting, I think he'd probably only won 2, so he could knock 2 of JP's out. Gavin's got only by night for this as well, so if she runs there, I don't think only by night will be there as well, so it could be the time to play these, but I've just had other ones on my mind a bit more for today. But the 3 I kind of like at the moment for this mare's chase. It just looks to be screaming out, doesn't it, to be for bet. I like her at 5s, and this only by night for Gavin. I don't know what she is. I think she's maybe 7s or 8s, non-runner no bet. And I wonder if Gavin's going to approach it like last year. Last year he had, I forget the name, he had 1 horse for good ground and 1 horse for soft ground, Limerick Lace. It came up soft, so he ran Limerick Lace, and I wonder if he's going to approach it the same way again. He's got like only by night for good ground and like this girl for like soft ground, so he may just run one of these, And the other horse on my radar there is Spindlebury as well. Them two were meant to clash, weren't they? Only by night and Spindlebury, but they got took out on the quick ground. But they're really the only 3 I've got on my mind for the race, and yeah, we may end up playing them later in the week. I'll have another look at it. Good Land, he ran a nice race here. I think the trainer mentioned before the race, Barry Connell, I think it was the Leinster National. He said he'll get his mark after this. He'd be interested in that. He stuck at it well here. It'd be very interesting for that. Well. Ballybow took out the 2 mile 2.5 maiden Benign. First time he'd encountered soft heavy under rules, and he relished it. Even on this ground, he looked a touch outpaced down the back. He's out of Flemonsforth, out of a Yates mare. He's all stamina, it's stamina laden pedigree. He's actually bred along similar lines to Noble Yates, who took out the national, didn't he? But it kind of flipped round. Noble Yates is out of Yates and a Flemonsforth mare, He's going to make a cracking staying chaser next year, with that breeding. If he's not up to the Browns, that 3 mile 6 handicap, good luck, a nice race for him. He's kind of similar to Jacob's Ladder, the week before, in that they'd be interesting if they turn up for an Albert Bartlett, but maybe it would be a year too soon. But it would be interesting if they turned up there. Gordon's getting a bit stacked into with these future staying chasers for Gigginstown now. He's got these two. He's got plenty in the bumpers. The Calypso horse, He Can't Dance, and plenty of others. He's going to be So it augurs well for Gordon in these staying chasers over the next few seasons. Maybe just one will be like a Browns and a Gold Cup horse. So that's all that stuff. Now we're just going to have a ramble now about the DRF. 8 grade 1s in 2 days. This is like a connoisseurs festival. It's fantastic. It is. I watched a stable tour of Willie's on the irishracing.com channel, so if you've not seen that, that's worth a watch. And I'll just mention my sort of what I took from Willie anyway. I've not seen, I think, the same, but right. So the Nathaniel Lacey, I like Final Demand. I took the 3s ante-post. He's coming now. He's 7-4. When they fired Final Demand at him, he was like, "He's like the best we got there." I was like, "Oh, oh dear." And the horse he went on to talk a bit the most about was Super Sunday. So I like Final Demand. Willie seems to like Super Sunday. I'll leave it to you to decide there if you like any of those two. But maybe you should be taking more notice of Willie. And I guess Final Demand's coming off a Limerick maiden. Super Sunday ran second in a grade 1 last time, The only thing, if you're playing this race and you want to play Super Sunday, is it's what Paul's on. If Paul's on Final Demand, I think you're going to get Patrick on Super Sunday because he rode it last time. Whereas if Paul rides Super Sunday, I think we'll get Danny on Final Demand as he rode that last time, But Super Sundays, and there's others interesting in that race. But I like this Final Demand. You respect Super Sunday. To be honest, I weren't sure he'd be coming here initially. I thought it might be quick enough after his run last time in bad ground, but there's the Gordon's got one entered up here that we kind of liked, and I forget the name now. Came second to Romeo Coolio last time, 2 mile at Christmas. He'd be kind of interesting stepping up to 2-6 as well if he comes here. I'd suggest. Juvenile, but we'd say like Willie, if you're going on Willie's picks, I'd say you'd be going Super Sunday there. The Juvenile, we had a small bet, didn't we, on St. Lucie for the Triumph. But the one Willie was liking, I think, is this Lady Vega Allen. He was speaking very highly of her. So, on Willie Speak, I think that would be your one there. And I do kind of fancy she'd turn it round with the Gavin horse, Cromwell horse, Hello Neighbour, on that last running. Be interesting to see how Paul rides there, but he doesn't always get it right. And I suspect maybe who rode Lady Veigarland last time, I can't remember now. But, yeah. 3 mile handicap hurdle. Yeah. Now, Willie couldn't remember where Amsterdam was entered or what he even had running in the Nathaniel Lacey. But he knew exactly how many horses he needed to come out for Meeting of the Waters to get in this race. You know, now I was flicking down. I've only flicked through a lot of these. I haven't really studied them much. I'm flicking through, and you know, some names jump out to you, don't they? Sort of scrolling down. But, Wingman 139. Percival the Galway, our hero of Christmas. He's 135 here, £17 lower than his chase mark. You know, we know he loves Leopardstown, and he took this race out a couple of years back now. Yeah, he looks interesting off 135. Although I think he is second favourite. He's not missed in the ante-post market. Pardon me. So I thought, yeah, he jumped out at me a bit. Then I got to Moz's sister off 127. She ran nicely last time in that 3 mile Limerick race, staying on well. She could be interesting off 127. And then if you keep going down and keep going down, you get to Meeting of the Waters off 112, which is £36 lower than his chase mark. And of course he took out the Paddy Power chase, didn't he, last season at Christmas, so we know he acts well round here. He's 45th in the list. I think maybe the maximum field's 22. I would just like looking at last year's race, but don't take that as a definitive, like, you know. So he does need plenty to come out, you know, so... And he's not missed them, but he's 4-1 on the ante-post market there, you know. The Irish Arkle, yeah, he likes Madgeborough for that. Irish Gold Cup, Galloping, Nap. Okay, that's his Nap, Galloping. 2 mile 1 handicap chase, just a couple of names jumped out at me in the pockets there off 149, but it's Henry in it, you know, unless he does something this week, you'd have to be leaving his horses alone next week. Nürburgring, yeah, he's like the one really. I can't quite figure out if this fella's rated 140 or 143, you know. If you click on his racing post thing, it says 143, here he's off 140. So maybe he's got £3 in hand here as well, I don't know. But he took out the Galway hurdle, didn't he? Yeah, we've been watching him getting his mark, 140. They're not the most competitive races, the 2 mile handicap chasers, are they? So, yeah, I'd like him here, but again, not missed in the market. If you're lucky enough to have a Unibet account, 9-1. You know, the other bookies that priced it up, I've checked all these prices just before I did this video. 9-2 Paddy's, Betfair and Sky Bet, you know, so ante-post 9-2, you know, gear miss. Paddy Mullins Mares handicap hurdle, quality is there 117, you know. I know she's been a little disappointing. She's going to be much better chasing next year, but 117 looks a nice sort of mark, doesn't it? Like I say, I'm not going into too much depth on these, the handicaps. The 2 mile 5, yeah, grade 1 novice chase, you know, it looks like he's going with Ballyburn and Champ Keeley there. In Parapass, it seems like he could be going to Sandown for the Scilly Isles. Looks like it could cut up a bit this race. Better days ahead. It could be like the main non-Willie horse in this. 2-5 round here. Ballyburn's going to take some whacking, I think, you know. He's odds on now for the race, you know. 3 mile Cheltenham on soft, you know, better days ahead. Yeah, you know, his form got a bit of a boost, but 2 mile 5 round here, yeah, Ballyburn should have a bit too much sort of too many gears, I would suggest, for better days ahead. But I hope he runs well there, you know, and you wouldn't completely rule him out, you know. Champ Keeley run well last time, probably better going right-handed, but he did look nice last time. Right, yeah, here we go. 2 mile grade 1 novice hurdle. We talked plenty about this, haven't we? Right, here we go. Right, I think we've got Kay Doherty and Kopek de Boards, haven't we? And I've been rambling on about this race for weeks, haven't I? I think one of these takes this out, and I think whichever one takes it out will go on to win at Cheltenham. I kind of do. You know, you just have to go with what you think sometimes, don't you? And like I say, I get things wrong, but that's how I see it. Now, as I said before, I think if Kay Doherty wins this, he goes supreme, because it's JP's horse. You know, it's just taken out a grade 1 at the DRF over 2 mile. You know, he's already got the favourite in the longer race, and Kawabunga now looks like a good contender for that race too. Kay Doherty, despite Willie having the favourite for the Supreme, like I say, with these JP horses, you don't play Willie Mullins bingo, you play JP bingo. Okay. Kay Doherty takes this out, he goes Supreme, and he'd go there with a great chance, I'd suggest. Now, Kopek de Boards, if he takes this out, as I've said before, I think he has to go, what's it called, the Turners, isn't it? He has to go for the Turners, the longer race. And the reason I say that is because Willie will be sat on the Moscow Flyer winner and the Grade 1 winner at Dublin, which he often is. And I can't ever remember him running him both in the same race. Salvatore Mundi's only entered up in the Supreme. For me, Kopek de Boards, you know, plus, you know, Paul will want to ride both horses. You know, they'd be his 2 big horses, novice hurdlers for Cheltenham. So for me, Kopek de Boards takes this out. He goes to the Turners. Now, I think right, I checked all these prices just before I did this. We've got a point on Kay Doherty at 14s already. So what we're going to do today, we're going to have another 2 points on Kay Doherty at 14s for the Supreme, and we're going to have 3 points on Kopek de Boards at 10s for the Turners. The 10s is only at 365. It did get cut a little yesterday. It was more widely available yesterday. If you want to play it safe, 7-1 non-runner no bet, you can take slightly short for the non-runner no bets, and that's still not a bad bet, I don't think. Price, I think whichever, I mean, I'm presuming I think one of these will win. You know, if I'm wrong and they both lose, then, you know, I've just thrown away 5 points for us there. But you have to go with what you think, don't you? I think one of these is going to win. I find it very difficult to say which one. From what I've seen with my own eyes, you know, I'd like Kay Doherty, just because of the way Kopek de Boards jumped last time. But I do think Kopek de Boards might jump a lot better, and it'll have Paul on it, and if it does, then it could be Kopek de Boards quite easily. Now, I think whichever one of these takes it out, I'd say if Kay Doherty takes this out, I think he goes 5-2 favourite, thereabouts, for the Supreme. And I think if Kopek de Boards takes this out, I think he'll go around 5-2 favourite for the Ballymore. I do. And I think they'll actually push the Skeleton horse to about 7-2 or so, maybe. Don't happen very often that they push one out, but they may do if this fella takes this out well. So, right, my logic here, bear with me. Technically, you could well be throwing away half your stake here, couldn't you? Because you can't both win. Okay, I get that. But we're looking at 10s and 14s. So half of 14s is 7s. I think you'd be looking at 5 to 2. Half of 10s is 5s. Again, I think you'd be looking at 5 to 2. And I think whichever one of these takes this out goes on to win at Cheltenham. I think you want to be on one of these. You do. And you've got the added bonus. You might not be writing the other bet off that doesn't win. If the other one came second and they were nicely clear, if you remember last year, Ballyburn beat Slade Steel in this, and they both went on to win at Cheltenham. So unlikely, granted, but it could happen. You could still end up with 2 live tickets, but I think you're going to have one great ticket anyway. Whatever. Obviously, if Kay Doherty did take this out, and Final Demand, as I mentioned before, I did that little double on those two, but Final Demand's the one that would come into that Turner's picture maybe as Paul's big horse, but he's been well backed the last week or so. He's into sort of 10s and 12s now from 20s, so maybe he had a bit of change on that double, I don't know. But if that happened, if Final Demand is the big Turner's horse, it does mean I think Kay Doherty's the big supreme horse, and we've already got Salvador Mundia now, so we'd be sort of set all right there, I'd say. Yeah, Salvador Mundia, we're on him, aren't we? And you're happy to be on him at double figures, but he's one of them horses. He could win, granted, but he might not either, mightn't he? He's not one of them you could kind of trust, because he did plenty wrong and he's got to right them wrongs, hasn't he? And you're just hoping he does. You don't know he will. Okay. I think whichever one takes this out, I think this will shake up the markets big time for Cheltenham this race. So we'll try and get ahead of the curve a little bit there. Okay. I mean, Gordon's horses entered here still, the Grade 1 winner at Christmas. Maybe he'll come here. I thought he'd maybe skip this race. I'm not sure if he'll come here or not. If he does come here and he beats us both, then, come on Salvatore Monday. Romeo Coolio, isn't it? But he may miss this. He may miss this. I don't know. And even if he does come here, I'd kind of fancy one of these to put him away. Okay. They don't call it gambling for no reason, do they? On to Dublin Chase then. Yeah, Gaelic Warrior. He likes Gaelic Warrior for this. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Model consistency, model professional. This horse, he'll get it down. I do like him to take this out, but I couldn't be recommending to back Gaelic Warrior odds on. That's Gaelic Warrior and odds on don't go well together. It'll be fine though. Fine, don't worry. Right then, Leopardstown handicap chase, 2 mile 5.5. Sometimes a horse just smacks you in the face in one of these, and even though I haven't gone into depth on the opposition, we're having this horse today. Okay. I mentioned 2 horses for this, didn't I? In the last few weeks. No flies on him and back to normal. Now, no flies on him isn't here, which surprised me considering how well he's ran at Leopardstown. So maybe you'd consider, I think JP's got Summerjest and maybe some others. So maybe no flies on him, I think, suggests he may well go to Cheltenham. Considering his Leopardstown form, I'd have liked him here, but he's not here. But back to normal is here. Now, this horse, Jesus, I've been I've been watching prices on this horse. Unibet put this fella up at 20s, and I can't get on at Unibet. And I've been staring at that 20s for days, thinking, God, I wish I could get that. Paddy's, Sky, and Betfair put up 10s, and I'm like, I don't mind 10s, but when you can see 20s, you want 20s, don't you? You know, it's a fair difference there. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's talk about the horse a bit first. Right, back to normal. Right, he is 35 in the list. He needs 10 to come out. He's not nailed on to get in. I think he may just scrape in at the bottom here, but it's not a given. It isn't. He's off 130 here. Jesus, he's off 130. Now, you look in his form and tell me how he's rated 130. You know, he beat Answer to Cafe nearly 3 lengths off levels on his first run for Gavin. We just seen Answer to Cafe yesterday, like hack up off 130, the same mark this fella's on. Nürburgring, he's either 140 or 143, but he gave £8 to that horse and finished 5 lengths behind him. Okay, and he's rated 143 officially, or 140. Either way, it makes his 130 look nice enough. He actually finished 7 in front of that horse last time, you know. And he had Nürburgring were like, you know, really given a quiet ride, but so with this fella, he won the unfavoured all the way round, you know. It was a nice run, you know, should team up nicely for this. Whichever way you look at it, he looks thrown in off a marker 130, I think, this horse. Now, this morning, Unibet finally cut that 20s to 12s, which made me feel better about the 10s. Okay, so I've had a little bit of the 10s this morning. I'd hope for maybe bigger, but you don't want to get too greedy. I wanted to lock in a bit of double figures, and we'll see, because I think this horse will, if he gets in here, I think he'll go off favourite or second favourite. It could be a big gamble, this horse. Yeah, I like him for this anyway. I mean, he's had 3 runs. He's only a novice, isn't he? Like 3 chase runs. So, you know, things can go wrong for them types in these races. But yeah, whatever. Double figures, I think, is a fine bet anyway, you know. Like I say, just tread a little carefully with your staking, because he's not guaranteed to get in here. You know, we're not on final decks yet. Yeah, so, you know, he's just not a nailed-on runner. But I took a little bit of the 10s, and if we see him declared down to run, I'll take a bit more of 6s or whatever he is at the time, you know. Well, you draw the line somewhere, don't you? But I'd imagine maybe he'll be 6s, say, after declarations. And, yeah, after the 48-hour decks, and you're not non-running no bet anymore, aren't you? Then I'll top up a nice bit on him. But I'd like to lock in a little bit of double figures early on, so he's one of our bets 10 to 1. If someone puts up a bigger price today or tomorrow, I'll have a little bit more on him, like, you know. But like I say, can't get too carried away. But yeah, I like him anyway. Back to normal for that race. We nearly finished anyway. Well, I won't be. Yeah. Mare's Bumper, yeah. Future Prospect 6 to 4 though. You know, that's doesn't appeal ante-post, but she's the sort of horse I've liked the most in bumpers so far this season. You know, I did have a small bit on her ante-post for Cheltenham, and I've left that on, but you just need to see her settle better, you know. She's got to calm down a little bit to be going to Cheltenham, but she stood out to me up to now as The Irish Champion Hurdle, yeah. State Man. Willie likes State Man. You'd be back in State Man here listening to Willie. Losey Mouth's going to run here. I don't think Brighter Days ahead of Will. She had a hard race, young horse last time. I'm sure they'd just go straight there to Cheltenham. 2 mile handicap hurdle. This is towards the end of the card on Sunday. You don't really want to be trying to get out on this, you want to be nicely in front by then. James's Gates entered there. We were chatting plenty about him, weren't we, for Cheltenham last week. He's been getting a mark of 136, just a few higher than I thought he'd be, but yeah, 136 is still fine. He's better than that. If he runs here, this could be just a sighter for that Coral Cup for Cheltenham now, because he needs that one more run and it'll give him a nice break, won't it? So this could be maybe coming a bit quick on top of his last run, and it might be just to get him into that Coral Cup, so I won't go smashing into him for this. McClory, we've been tracking him. He's in here off 120. So I haven't gone into too much detail, but we have been looking at him, haven't we? I thought he might go out in trip, but yeah, he's here. And Any Road, we mentioned him, didn't we? That the way he travelled into that race over 2.5 last time, he'd been trusting coming down to 2, and he is entered in this. So he's a horse I might have to do my homework a bit more on, this Any Road. I'm not sure if he's like a dodge pot or if he just needed the 2, so I'll have a bit more of a look into him this week. Yeah, Willie, he said 8 ones, it'll never happen again. 8 grade ones. He took them all out, didn't he, last year? Well, at the time, this is a sort of fun bet, really, daft bet if you like. At the time, Paddy Power and Betfair were going 10-1 on that 8 grade ones. Never happened again. I don't know, 10-1 seemed okay to me, so I just had a little bit on the 10-1, and he was 2-1 to win 7 or more. So I'd like 2/3 of a stake on the full 8, and then just 1/3 of it to get my money back on 7 or more if he dropped one, like. But, just small stakes. It's just a bit of a fun bet, that. I looked this morning, unfortunately, they have cut it a little bit. It's 8s and 7-4 now. It's just there if you wanted a little play on it, yeah. I ain't crunched the numbers to see if it's a good value bet or not, but when you look at the markets in these races, Jesus, I mean, maybe someone will pop up somewhere and do him, but you won't fall over, really, if he goes and takes them all out again either at the same time. I thought 10-1 were okay, like 8s. Yeah, just keep it small, but maybe a bit of a fun bet, that. So that's that then. I've kept you long enough, haven't I? It has been a big ramble today. I'll do a DRF one, a final one. That'll be Friday evening, and yeah, it might be quite late on into the evening that I get to do that. And that'll probably be a shorter video. I probably won't ramble quite so much on that. I'll try and just get on point a little bit more, okay. And that's that then. So if you made it all this way to the end, well done. I do appreciate it. So thank you for your time. Have a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Alright, bye.